It's moving, so it's perfect. Thank you for having the floor, dear colleagues. First of all, let's say a few words about our team. I'm Yovka Tisheva, and this is my colleague, Marina Dzhonova. And it's a particular pleasure and honor for us to be here and share our humble investigation on a little piece of Bulgarian verbal system concerning emotions. They have been mentioned already in the first presentation. Now we will show you a little bit more about that from our point of view. We are linguists, so more linguistics to make you even more bored. But it will be a case study based on corpora data, not on our intuition, not what the grammar says about Bulgarian correct or not very correct language standard. First of all, why to study emotives? I use this term to denote verbs and other words from so-called emotional vocabulary, all the words we use to express our emotions. First of all, we found out during our desk research preceding this investigation that several cognitive analyses of descriptive words for emotions in Bulgarian were done, studying so-called concepts and the way they are denoted in certain language. But their main emphasis is on nouns, part of nominal system, or fixed constructions, something like phrasemes or proverbs, etc. No syntactic realization of the arguments of the verbs were core of these analyses. It's cognitive study anyway, it's not the point to do that there. On the other hand, Bulgarian verbs of perception and cognition have been studied, have been object of a number of studies. We know how we express our perceptions, how we to express our thoughts, beliefs, but we know actually not so much about different ways to express emotions. On the other hand, I'm actually not very right saying that, because we have previous studies based on predicative constructions with dative or accusative arguments, and the puzzle of so-called experiencer, how to express this argument of the syntactic structure, but no correlation between verb and corresponding adjectives or nouns were done so far. So we started to test hypothesis. If we have the same root of the word, no matter if it's verb, noun, adjective, or adverb, if it will be the same potential to select arguments and form the same syntactic structure. On the other hand, why these verbs and predicatives, verbs of emotion, verbs expressing positive emotions? Of course, we had enough of bad news, of the natural disaster, calamities, etc. It's very simple. Our motivation is very simple. With words like radvam said, to be happy or rejoice in English, we have the longest list of possible syntactic variations. First of all, we have finite verb radvam, to make someone happy. Then we have reflexive radvam se, I'm happy. Radosten sam, I'm happy literally. Radosno mi je, literally translated, it will be something like, to me, this is something happy, or I think this is something happy. Radosno je, this is happy, and radoste is joy. So we have the full set here with 2 verbs and 4 constructions, auxiliary plus adjective, radosten, adjective or adverb, I won't discuss this now, radosno, and with the noun radost at the end. The main topic of our analysis is to see the syntactic realizations of arguments to predicates, verbs, and predicative constructions in Bulgarian expressing positive emotions. We limited our observations on 3 verbs. Veselya, rejoice, zabavlyavam, entertain someone, and radvam, make someone happy, glad, and their reflexive counterparts, veselya se, zabavlyavam se, radvam se. and also the group of emotive predicates, including constructions with adjectives, adverbs, or noun corresponding to the verbs of emotions. So from Vesele, Veselese, we have vesel, the same root there. Radvam, Radvamse, we have Radusten, Radustno, Radust, etc. Once again, to test the idea if the syntactic potentials of these words are coded in the root of it. Our goals, you see here, first of all, to compare the syntactic structure of two types of sentences with verbal and other type of predicates, to test the hypothesis I already announced. In other words, whether the argument structure of emotive verbs is inherited by the corresponding adjectives, adverbs, or nouns. We have so-called obligatory elements in this emotional scenario, how they are marked, and most importantly, which is the element expressing the experiencer, the core argument to these verbs. Also, we will say something about the complement clauses to different predicates and possible cases of complementizer alternations. This is a corpus-based study, it's empirical study, and you see three sources. We used, Petya, we were kind of guinea pigs, I guess, but we were very curious. We saw a new resource on the horizon and we decided to test it. It was fun, but unfortunately we found very few examples from parliamentary debates, which tells us that our politicians, the members of National Assembly, are very hard-working people. They have no time for fun. Anyway, for emotions, you see the core thing there is having fun, being happy. Anyway, stay to academic discourse. Actually, there are examples. There are very little comparing to two other resources, and they concern special situations, mainly to cause some kind of effect, stylistic effect of irony. And it will be probably a topic of future research, so we are going on with this corpus. The second one we used is the corpus of Bulgarian political and journalistic speech. Some of you probably are very familiar with it. We choose this corpus because it represents written text from different media, and it's easy to work. It has friendly interface and easy to search there. And of course, thanks to Bulgarian National Corpus, we have the biggest selection of our data, and we can say that examples we presented in our article and our conclusions are not controversial. It's not only our intuition or what we want the language to be. Let's say a few words about how we think about emotions and how we expected these verbs and predicates to behave as part of certain sentences. We take emotions as mental processes, reflecting the experiences, perceptions, and evaluations associated with particular object or specific stimulus. As it was well known by studies of Anna Vishvitska, all natural languages have lexical means for expressing and denoting emotions. It's not only interjections, but it's a large number of other elements of the vocabulary. What is interesting, I don't know about any other language, but a quantitative study based on French vocabulary, there are more nouns to express emotions in general, not only positive emotions. Interesting fact is actually that there is one or two positive emotions. Most of our emotions are negative. So no surprise that you found these words so high up in your list. It's just the way our world is conceptualized by a dictionary, unfortunately. So we feel something, we are the experiencers of these emotions. Subject is obligatory part of this scenario. It should be someone, possibly animated. We found some example with other nouns there. Somebody who can feel or sense something. But we don't have feelings by themselves. They don't come from the vacuum. There is something we see, we evaluate, and this evaluation is a stimulus for our, in this case, positive emotion. The hyphen shouldn't be there. So there is something which in some studies is called object or cause. We took here the most general term stimulus for the positive emotion. From another point of view, the verbs that we had just mentioned are well studied together with actually predicative words, adjectives, adverbs, and nouns because of another phenomenon. They're called psychological or experiencer verbs. They obligatory exist this element to be expressed. There are three main parts of psychological verbs: verbs of perception, verbs of cognition, and verbs of emotion. And within the last one, there are two subtypes. In syntactic literature, they are called respectively fear and frightened type. With subject experiencer, fear type. Here you see Bulgarian se verbs belong, radom se. The subject is the one who enjoy seeing or evaluating something. Plasha se, the subject is the one who fears of something. And the other group are object experiencer verbs. Here you can see that are Bulgarian counterparts without se. Radvam makes someone happy, so the subject is not the experiencer, but the object of emotion is the one taking this role. Same with plasha. I make somebody fear of something. Let's say if you have to express the meaning, the subject is not the one who feels something, but the object of the sentence. Maybe these examples will give you the false impression that all se emotives are subject experiencer and verbs without se are not. It's not actually the case, but it was object of a previous study we had done with Marina. From another point of view, we have to make another difference. It's not only reflexivization, but also the change of meaning of these verbs. Those without se, like veselya, zabavlyavam, and radom, are close to the group of causative verbs. If we decompose the meaning of these verbs, we will come to make someone, do something for someone. Veselya, I make someone happy. Zabavlyavam, I entertain someone, make someone to be in a good mood. Radvam, make someone happy. So these verbs, although they share the same root there with this vessel, etc., component as the main component in their lexical meaning, they don't belong exactly to the group of stative verbs, which is for the case with reflexives. With their argument structure, it's obligatory to express the argument experiencer, which is, of course, taking the subject position. In the literature, we can find the analysis under the process of reflexivization, which here I think traces some of Vulcan features of our verbal morphology, and we adopt the point of view by Senova Gencheva that says a marker for middle voice construction. It has nothing to do with real reflexives, but also it's only marker that blocks the position for direct object. Let's have a closer look now at these two groups of emotive predicates. We start with transitive verbs. As I said, these are two-place predicates, subject and direct object should be expressed, and respectively, stimulus takes the subject position. This is something or someone in most cases, animate agent-like element, and it causes change in emotional status of the experiencer expressed by the object. Here we see the possibilities for che and da and kak or deto complement clauses. It's also possible to have NPs in subject position. And interesting part comes here. What the data show with Vasilia and Radvam. With Zabavljavam, examples were very few, that's why they're not included in the table. Animate object, experiencer, is expressed with mostly with noun phrases. With Radvam, it's the same case. So to express someone who is in a good mood, in Bulgarian, we probably prefer nominal phrases, but not pronouns. What is the situation with intransitive verbs, se, reflexives? Experiencer is obligatory to be expressed as argument, but it's not as a pro-drop language. We know it's not obligatory to have some lexical material in the subject position. We have stimulus of emotion, which could be expressed by prepositional phrases, na, za, or also complement clauses. If there are prepositional phrases with s, it's not an argument. Radvam se za and radvam se s are two different structures. Interesting part comes with complement clauses. We see that che and da clauses with radvam se are significantly different. And here we think it has something to do with che as a marker of finite clauses, but this could be the object of future studies. And now a few words about predicative constructions in Bulgarian.
So we already see Bulgarian is a pro-drop language. That's why we see here Radostensen, which means I'm happy with it. And okay. So we have three types of predicative constructions. First of them with subject experiencer, overt or non-overt Asen with object experiencer, Radosnomie, where me is the dative object, as a Radosnomie. And the third type of construction, we think it's a separate type due to its syntactic behavior with no syntactic expression of experience. There's a difference between the verbal and the other constructions. Verbal constructions always need experience. Here we can omit it somehow syntactically and shows a different behavior in the syntaxis. First of all, we see the constructions with subject experiencer. As we already say, it's obligatory to be expressed. It could be noun phrase or a pronoun in the subject position, and the stimulus has different realizations. That's the interesting thing here. We have the same meaning, almost the same, I'm happy, but both constructions have different realization in the corpus data at least. We see more possibilities for Radostensen. The stimulus could be prepositional phrase or complement clause with different kinds of complementizers. Vesselsen could have only complement clause with che, and they're very rare. Most of the time we have only Vesselsen, I'm happy, and we stop here. With Radostensen, we can see that it prefers che clauses. The same like with Radvam se, with the verb. We have the same statistics. The second one with object experiencer. Here we cannot omit the dative experiencer. It's in object position, but the stimulus could be expressed or not. If it is expressed, it is a complement clause mostly. We don't have other examples except for with complement clause, with che or da. And there in the data, we have more examples only with the boundary, with complement clause with that, which is, you see, it's not the same like here. Here, che is preferred, here we have that preferred. That's very interesting, meaning having the same meaning with both predicates. And the constructions with the explicit implicit experiencer, they have we have two types of constructions. The first one, they are almost the same like Radus me without the experiencer me. Here we have more possibilities for the stimulus argument. It could be complement clause or polymerization in subject position. We have a pronoun in subject position. And the second type is with noun, Radus Veselbai. Here the only one of these constructions has realization of stimulus argument. It could be again complement clause with Yovka or polymerization. So we can show the data for these two constructions. The first type, the bound way, prefers complement clauses with da. The same is for Radus. Again, we have only a few examples with check complement clause. And this is very interesting for us because our intuition wasn't this. We see different things from the corpus data, and we think this is very interesting to make further investigations about Bulgarian complement clause. We can conclude briefly. So we see that the emotive predicates are usually two-place predicates. The experience argument is obligatory in the semantic and the syntactic structure for verbs. For constructions, it is obligatory in the semantic structure, but we see that in the syntactic realization, we can see varieties with obligatory realization and without it. Concerning the stimulus argument, we could have an NP, prepositional phrase, or complement clause. Verbs and constructions expressing positive emotion differ in the selection of syntactic realization of stimulus. We saw the difference. So for future projects, we think it's very interesting to see the distribution of complementizers with those type of verbs and constructions in Bulgarian. Thank you for the attention.